when you share every part of your being with another, you'll never be the same again. You're always gonna feel a little different when you hear their name. Life just goes on, and we're just expected to be okay. Thoughts are not facts. That's just a false perception that gives us a sense of safety. Hello lovelies, welcome to the summer show. So this video is going to be a little bit different from the ones that I usually do, but I had this really beautiful conversation with a friend the other day, and I really wanted to recreate this and share it. So essentially the way that it all started is my friend said, "Do you still miss your ex?" And I don't really like to use the word ex. I think it's a pretty derogatory phrase that is just used in society to kind of almost disintegrate everything that you had with this other human being, really make them out to be this awful character, and just kind of is made out to be this huge, awful person, an event, and there's just a lot of really negative charge to that wording. And so I prefer to use the word former partner or former lover. I think it's a whole lot more respectful, and I think it says a lot more about the relationship and the fact that you and this person had something really special, and just because you parted ways doesn't mean that they are an awful human being, right? And so she asked me this, and what I said was, I think a part of me will always miss him. I think that that is part of the human experience. And I don't think that that's a bad thing. I don't think that that is something to be ashamed of. I think the whole topic of loss and grief in society is often looked down upon, and people tend to think that it's a really touchy subject and that it's just all negative. But I think there's a lot of growth to be learned from these things, and I think that missing someone or missing something is just representational of something beautiful in your life that perhaps is no longer there in the same way that it was before. But nonetheless, I think it's important to appreciate those times. And I think when we go through these experiences that are challenging and that produce these intense feelings of loss and of how is life ever going to be the same again, how do you move through something like that, how are you ever going to be quote unquote okay again? And the thing is that whenever you lose something, something else is also reborn. There's this give and take, reap and sow. And when we lose something, we're also making way for something new to happen, a new chapter to unfold, so to say. And while it is incredibly painful oftentimes, the reason for that is simply because the more we open ourselves up to love, the more we equivocatively open ourselves up to pain. And suffering, the root of suffering, is attachment. Attachment to people, to places, to outcomes, to memories. And these are the things that cause us such deep pain, is this not knowing how to move through transitions in a healthy way, not knowing how to navigate change, because as human beings, that's not something that we're really taught. That's just something that, like, a major event will happen and life just goes on. and we're just expected to be okay and to continue moving forth even though we just went through a traumatic experience. Somehow the entire rest of the world is fine and everything else is going as usual, and it can be really unsettling and create this feeling of, well, how am I supposed to go on? How is everyone else okay when my entire world is shattering? But that's the human experience. That's how it goes. And I think oftentimes people feel so alone in that because people are afraid to talk about it. But the truth is, everyone experiences this to some degree in some way. A lot of people suppress the feelings. A lot of people have feelings of loss for different reasons, different situations, but everything that we all feel and experience, other people have felt before, other people universally go through, whether they speak about it or not. And so I think bringing to light these situations is really important. And while it's hard to think of the loss of someone, even if it's not from this earthly plane, like even if they're still here, but they're just not in your particular life anymore, it doesn't really make it easier, right? But I want to bring in this new perspective of loss because I believe that nothing is ever truly lost. Because if you think about it, in the perspective of like losing a partner, a romantic relationship, someone that you thought was the person for you, someone that you really believed was it, or that you really wanted to be it. You wanted to spend your life with this person, and for whatever reason, that didn't work out. That didn't come to fruition. The thing is, it's not lost. While the human being may not physically be in your life anymore, their impact will live on with you for the rest of your life. Because when you are with someone else, when you share every part of your being with another, you'll never be the same again. And when you meet someone, even at the grocery store, if you meet someone, just a casual interaction, that actually creates an impact. It seems really small, but everything that we do in life changes us. And every little decision we make changes the trajectory of our life and the person that we become through things like the butterfly effect, even though they may seem small. But in terms of your romantic partner, that's a huge impact. That's someone that perhaps you are used to spending time with every single day, and you wouldn't be who you are today if it weren't for them. If it weren't for the experiences that shaped you, the memories that you have, and just the decisions that you made when you were with that person, the conversations that you had, the learnings that came from that, even though it may not have ended how you liked, and even though, again, this doesn't discount the pain, knowing that they're never truly lost, that a part of them will always be within you and a part of you will always be within them, because you can't not impact each other. That person would not be who they are today if it weren't for you, and you would not be who you are today if it weren't for them. They have made an impact on you, and you have inevitably made one on them as well. And I think that's the really beautiful thing about this, because there is absolutely no guarantees in life. But yet, we tend to go about life every day thinking that there is. And we think that everything around us is pretty much just going to stay the same. We get used to routines, we get comfortable with things, and we just expect that this is how the world is. This is what my life looks like. This is my career. This is who I'm with. This is my family. This is my personality. But all of those things can change. None of them are guaranteed. And our ego loves to believe that it is. It wants something concrete to hold on to. But that's not reality. That's just a false perception that gives us a sense of safety. And so, in order to free ourselves and create less suffering, because suffering, again, the root of suffering is attachment, in order to alleviate a lot of that suffering, we have to be willing to lean into change. Because the thing is, pain is inevitable, but suffering is a choice. And so if we learn how to lean into change and we learn to love the adventure of it all, and as cheesy as it sounds, we learn how to truly live in the moment, and we learn how to have gratitude for everything that is there right now, knowing that at any moment, any of it can change. And I don't mean that in a negative, derogatory way, like, oh my gosh, everything could be taken away right now and I could just lose it all and life could just go to heck. It's not what I'm saying. We don't really know anything. We don't really have any guarantees for anything. And so even if you meet this person that you feel is so perfect for you and they feel the exact same, there's no guarantee. I don't care if you get a marriage certificate and you've been together 40 years, there's no guarantee that at any moment things couldn't break off. And that's so terrifying for most people, and I understand, because we want consistency. We want to know at the end of the day, this is our human. They're going to be our human. They're going to be by our side. But you don't know that. And when you really start to let that sink in, with a little bit of a perspective shift, you can start to find peace and freedom in that, and knowing that, okay, I care so deeply about this human, or I cared so deeply for this human, and I thought that we were going to be together forever, but life had different plans, and it was beautiful, and there will be more beauty to come. And so knowing that you had something this amazing before, and trusting and having faith that you can have that again, even better next time, is wonderful. But the biggest thing is just knowing that you will always be okay, no matter what. That is what gives you peace through everything. Knowing that, hey, if I put myself out there, if I put my heart out there, I may be taken advantage of. I may have my heart broken. But knowing that you can handle it. There's no guarantee that someone's not going to break your heart, but you just know that you're strong enough to handle it if they do. And it's okay to go through the stages of grief and loss, and it's okay to continue to miss this person, to miss the memories, to miss the person that you used to be, the innocence you had, to miss all of it. You don't need any justification for that. There's no time frame that has to be done within. And just as you think you're healing, it can easily pop back up again. You think that you're over the person, but in reality, they have a piece of you that only they will ever have, and they keep that with them. They have this piece of you that is now a part of their being, And so it's natural. It's natural to miss that because there's a little part of you that's missing. But there's a little part of them that's missing too, and that you hold in your being. And I think it's totally okay to miss something, especially when it was so incredibly beautiful and it changed your life more than you ever could have imagined. It's natural to miss that. And there will always be moments that will pop up, just little things that will remind you of that human. And you'll feel like you've done so much healing and that you're over this person, just to realize or to feel like you've done no work at all. To feel like all of that healing got you nowhere because one little thing brings it all back flooding in, and you just start to miss them all over again. But that's the process, and that's how it works. That's an indication that you are healing. But the number one thing that I've learned from this experience of losing the person that I thought was the love of my life, that I genuinely wanted to spend forever with, the person that still to this day I would do anything for, what I've learned from that loss and from moving through those stages of grief is that there's always going to be that place in your heart for that person. And you're always going to feel a little different when you hear their name and when little things pop up that remind you of past memories or things that they cherished. And that's okay. That's just a part of the beauty of the bond that you had and the experiences and the memories. And it doesn't have to be a bad thing. It doesn't have to be suffering. But the biggest takeaway is that no matter how certain you are and no matter how much you want safety and you want things to be consistent and you want to know that this person is going to be your person for the rest of your life, or to know that all of these things that you put in place are solid, and to know like that you have something to hold on to in life. The only thing that you bring through your entire life is your soul. Everything else in your life is apt to change. The way you look, your personality, your family, your friends, where you live, everything else can change. But the only thing at the end of the day that you know you have is your soul. And so, and any higher power that you believe in. That's the only thing. And if you can learn to have peace in that, that's what's going to bring you through any grief, any losses. Because at the end of the day, you've got you. You've got yourself, and you are the one walking through this journey. You're the one that wakes yourself up every day. You're the one that brushes your own teeth. You're the one that brushes your hair. You're the one that feeds yourself. You're the one that does it all. And that's what you have for stability. And it's hard when you get so attached to a human being and that human being is no longer a part of your life. That is incredibly, incredibly painful. But it gets a whole lot easier when you lean into change and you have faith in the process and know that somehow everything will all work itself out. And the feelings that you experience at any given time are also apt to change. So even though a lot of times if we get really caught in the feelings and they start to overwhelm, it seems like, oh, I'm always going to feel this way. And it's just so overwhelming. I don't know how I'm going to handle it. And all of these thoughts just start running in our mind, like, how am I ever going to be okay again? But the thing to realize is that emotions are kind of like waves. They come and they go. And they're kind of like the ocean. The tide comes in and the tide leaves. And so even though these emotions, it seems like they're never going away and they're just so overwhelming in the moment, they will. And thoughts are not facts. They're not who you are either. And so when those thoughts come in of feelings of worthlessness, of just immense pain, of why did this person leave? Was I not good enough? I'll never find someone like them. Those thoughts are not going to be there forever, and those feelings are going to change too. And it will be okay. But losing someone, it changes you. And it's one of those experiences that you don't really understand until you go through, and then you go through it, and it is just earth-shattering. That's all for this show. See you next time, beautiful humans.